we were in negotiations.
Investing in real estate, they're winning, they're making money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Educators Podcast, where we provide the education you can build on. I am your host, Kevin Amolsch. This podcast has been so much fun because we're helping real estate investors and real estate educators. So if you are an investor or if you provide content to investors, maybe to help generate business for yourself, this is the podcast for you. If you haven't yet, please give me a 5-star review and share this with a friend. You have no idea how much that helps the podcast. So I'd really appreciate the help with a quick 5-star review. I got a really cool, fun, special guest with me today, Mr. Jim Admire. Now, we've known each other, Jim, longer, get this, longer than any other guest that's been on this show. So I don't know what the math is exactly, but I know it's north of 20 years. So
Yeah.
'cause I started buying lease options and everything, I think around 2023, and the very first coaching program I went with, and we had our little mastermind was the one that we did together. So I know you've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
You're very versed in real estate investing and creative financing strategies. We were doing the lease options at the exact same time, got going at the same time. You went the direction of helping real estate investors with their books and some financial coaching and support. And so that's what we want to talk a little bit about today. So with that, Jim, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you. Great to be here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been definitely been 20 years. We did that Peter Conti
Yeah, that's right.
lease option thing. So yeah, that was, and then the mastermind, that was cool.
Yeah. So for the listener, what we did was the program was a bunch of people, right? I don't know, a couple hundred maybe.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then in that group, we split off into little mastermind groups of like 4 or 5 people. And I think our group had 4. My girlfriend at the time maybe made a 5th, but I'm counting us as one since we were working together. So there's 4 of us, right? And
Right.
we would meet every single week, and we were holding each other accountable and checking in, and because it's a tough, lonely business when you're getting started. So that was super
sure.
supportive of me.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was just a little background for the listener on how we got to know each other. And then we kind of didn't talk for quite a while. So let's catch up, man. Let's start with real estate investing. I know a little bit about the story, but share with the listeners, how did you even get started?
So my story goes back probably 20 years prior to that. My mom, I don't know where she found this Albert Lowry apartment course, buying, and it was all kind of not subject to, but assuming loans. It's kind of the concept. And I don't know where she found it, but she said, "Oh, we got to go to this thing on Tuesday night." And, I was, basically an only child at that point. My siblings had grown up. And so we went to this thing, and, it's like $500. And I said, "Mom, I don't have $500. And she goes, "I don't know either," but she goes, "Somehow we'll find it and you're going to go." And so I went, on a weekend deal, and I was 18, 19 years old maybe, but I didn't have any belief, in myself, belief that I could really do anything. So probably 6 or 7 years went by. My mom's renting a house. We had the loan crisis, 1988 with the savings and loans. And I looked around, and, half the houses on her street were, they're all duplexes and by and large, but they were all, for sale. And I said, I started doing the numbers. I said, I could do this, and, Mom could pay the rent. And so that was actually how I got my first rental property. Fast forward a few more years, my mother passed away, made actually quite a bit of money on that house. And that's when I took that course. And I've never asked my wife, but she probably thought I was crazy to spend, $5,000. But I said, I need this. I need to learn things, and I need to get, believe that I can do it, And so that kind of got me rolling into the course with you. And then I got into the, 2007 came along, and there were, a lot of houses for sale and whatnot. So I bought more houses. And one time I had 13 doors, which was too many for one person. At least I thought it was. And along the way there too, from our mastermind group, I met another lady who books were not her thing. And I find that with a lot of people, they just they don't put focus on what it is that they want to do. And so she got me started in the bookkeeping. And so I started doing that with other investors. And over time, we've sold off our properties and gone to a more passive mode. And so now I enjoy the bookkeeping and, recently got into financial coaching, and helping other people get started and get moving, with their finances and get into real estate or whatever else, whatever investing type thing they might want to do.
So you had 13 doors at one time. Was
Yeah.
that was leading into 2008?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Or
had
is
them
it
all.
after 2000, after the crash? Then you,
Actually, I had them all right by the time the crash started. I had them all. Yeah. And so, yeah, I suffered through that. People couldn't pay the rent and, kicking them out and, all the things that went along and all the lates and taking people to small claims court and all the funness. So
yeah,
that goes with that, just trying to keep the rent paid. And, it was a struggle. I saw a lot of people, just basically dump their properties and go bankrupt. I had clients that did that. I had a lady that had like half a dozen fourplexes up in Greeley, and she just walked away, just said, I can't do this. So, but my wife and I were determined we weren't going to let that happen. We did everything we could and just,
that's
made it
good.
through. So by 2012, we were, everything was cash flowing and we were able to, rehab the properties and basically do fix and flips at that point, start moving them out. So,
I was just in Vegas, Jim, I'm in this commercial real estate. It's a commercial academy is what they call it, but it's a commercial real estate investor group. Very high level people, right? It's very expensive to be in that room. And one of the guys went through 2008 like you and I did, and it almost ruined him. He went totally bankrupt, lost everything, including his family.
yeah, I've seen that
And
too.
there's a lot of stories like that, right?
Yeah.
And then he came out of that and built up a 700 million-ish dollar portfolio. And you net that out after debt, and his balance sheet's over $100 million,
That's
even
crazy.
going through that challenging time. Can you share with the listener something you learned from that experience?
Probably the number one thing was, you make a commitment, follow through on it. That's what my wife and I felt. We had made commitments not only to the people that we had as renters, but we had a number of properties that were financed. We had basically nothing in them going in, and so we had a commitment to the bank. And even though some of them were pretty bad loans, honestly,
Yeah.
but we said we made that commitment. We're going to honor that commitment. We're going to get these payments made. Bookkeeping actually became a part of that. That was income. Everything was getting thrown towards making all those payments. So I think commitment, make a commitment, stick to it, believe that you can do it. I think those were things that came out of that. So
And just keep grinding, right?
yeah, keep grinding. Yeah, every month was a grind. It's like, okay, and then what can we do? And we, some of them we work with lenders and got them lower rates or just different things changed that made it a little more palatable. Refinanced in some cases, just did everything we could to keep it going. So we said eventually we'll get out of it, and we did. So
Yeah. Great job. I wasn't as lucky.
yeah,
That was because I don't know if you knew this because we were not doing the mastermind at that time, but I went into that recession with 55 single family homes.
I'd
Yeah.
heard that. Yeah,
That was
I don't know how you made that through.
yeah. Well, I didn't. I mean, I got through it, I guess, but not without some scars, which are still there, by the way.
Yeah,
You go through something like that, you just learn a tremendous amount. So,
yep,
and
for sure.
not a lot of investors these days have that experience. So we're one of the few.
Yeah. Another lesson I learned was, being prepared, because things are not going to go your way at some point. Something's
Yeah.
going to happen that's totally unexpected. And I think that's probably totally true in just your personal life. I mean, your car's going to need a new flux capacitor, your refrigerator is going to break down, you just got to be prepared. So things will happen.
Yeah. Cash reserves.
Cash reserves. Yeah.
If you have
Good way
enough
to put it.
cash reserves, you'll be okay. But the problem is a lot of us don't want those reserves because they're earning almost no interest, right? So we think in our little shallow real estate investor mind that we need to go and earn a higher return on our idle cash. And then this is what happens. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's a balancing act.
yep, for
You got to
sure.
have something, but you don't want to have too much.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there, Jim, teaching, and maybe this is something you could touch on because you're a financial coach, but there's programs out there that will teach lines of credit and use those as your reserves. But I remember in 2008 and 9, those were getting shut off. What's
Mhm.
your thought on that philosophy?
The scary thing to me is the rate. The rate could go up, 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 and you can't control it. And that's we had a line of credit. That was actually partly how we got through using that. But we were fortunate, and we were timed that rates were not going up. But today, I think they could go either way. The Fed's either fighting inflation or they're fighting the economy, right? So they've got a balancing act, and depending on how things tip, rates could go up or they could go down. I can't predict that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, none of us can. And when we're recording this is May 30th, so it's not going to come out for a while, but there's more data coming out tomorrow. So I think we're going to, get a little bit more information on what direction the Fed may go. But I got
yeah.
to tell you, I'd be surprised. Everybody listening to this, I would be surprised if they cut rates this year. There's just too
Yeah, that's
much going on.
for
There's
sure.
an election year. You have sticky inflation. You still have strong job. I can't imagine them cutting it. But look, if you see a spike in unemployment, that would do it, right? So there's a
Right.
lot of variables out there that could create that scenario, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be waiting on the sidelines, not investing in property, hoping the rates go down.
Yep. That's for sure. Yep. And I'm right there with you. I don't think we're going to get anything. I told my wife that 2 months ago. I said, there's not going to be a rate increase or a rate decrease this year.
No, I just can't see it. Although mortgage rates have come down a little bit, so that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about bookkeeping because I know that there's a lot of confusion around this. And I mean, I could dig into this because actually really enjoy books. So I do a lot of my own accounting for my properties.
You're a rare
But
bird.
I know, but look, I'm a numbers guy. I have my degrees in finance.
Yep.
I enjoy numbers and problems and all of that, which I guess is why I went into the finance side of real estate. But so help me understand the bookkeeping side of it. Like I know it's important, but how important is it to actually keep our books straight?
I mean, if you don't know where you are, I mean, I don't know how you can make decisions about where you want to be. And that's where bookkeeping comes in. I mean, you get your profit and loss. The bottom line is where you're at. You're either profitable or you're not. But then you can also work backwards and say, okay, well, I'm spending too much here, or I'm not getting enough income in this business segment. So those are the things I would look at to say, yeah.
I'm curious to hear your like the biggest mistake you see. But here I got to tell you this one. I see a lot of fix and flip investors, Jim, where they will tell me about how much profit they had and they'll like brag about it a little bit, right, on their last deal and maybe even show me the settlement sheet and how much they got at closing. And I'm thinking to myself, that settlement sheet, you got money at closing. That's great. How much did you put down? How much was your holding cost that isn't showing up on that sheet? Like, what's
Mhm.
the real profit number? You can't get that without a P&L, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Because you got to account for every expense, and your interest, your holding cost, as you said, that can be a huge one. But every little, screw and nail that you buy adds up, right? So that all reduces your bottom line.
So you're saying the cash at closing isn't profit.
No, I mean, I could say, yeah, I bought it at this amount and whatever. But you may also other thing you might have too is bills. Like we did our flips. We had a pretty good sized Home Depot bill that had to be paid off once we got our
Right.
cash. So we could say, yeah, we made $50,000, but then we had to turn around and pay Home Depot $10,000 and Lowe's $5,000 and some handyman, and all that shows up on your books, but it doesn't show up as cash cash at closing.
Yeah. What's the joke? You can't make up for non-profitable deals with volume.
Okay.
Yeah, because you hear, well, my margins are thin. I'll just make it up in volume. Yeah, but if your margin's negative,
Yeah,
you're just
you're just going more negative.
it's so funny.
That doesn't work.
What's one of the biggest mistakes you see investors making with their books?
Probably, for starters, they don't do cost segregation. People don't think about that. I mean, all the stuff that, you can turn around and write stuff off right away, or, well, we used to be able to write it off right away with the 2017 tax and job cuts, but that's phasing out. But anyway, you take appliances and whatnot, write them off in 5 years instead of 27 years. So that's an immediate, tax savings. right away. I mean, eventually it'll catch up to you when you sell, but right away it's cash in your pocket. So,
Yeah, go into a little detail there. So for the listener that doesn't understand what you're saying, what's cost seg or cost segregation? What does that mean?
so it's the concept of, let's say you spend $500,000 to buy a property, and the county says, okay, $100,000 worth of that's land. So that means you got $400,000 that you can depreciate. Under IRS rules, it's 27 and a half years for your building. But things like appliances, flooring, you can depreciate that over 5 years. So if you can reduce that $400,000 number down to 300, 350, whatever, and take the rest of it, depreciate it over a 5 year or 15 year, depending on the type of asset, then you're saving on your taxes for the next, 5 to 15 years. So,
Yeah, so depreciation, help me understand that.
so the IRS says that things, you know, aren't worth what they tomorrow, what they were worth today, right? So things go down in value, roofs fail, refrigerators break down. So they have a certain lifetime basically. And so over that lifetime, you can expect to use that asset, and then they depreciate the value of that asset over time.
Yeah, so if you hear the term phantom loss, most of the time, this is what Jim is talking about right now.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
not an actual loss. It's not an expense coming out of your
Paper.
pocket, but it does show up on your tax return. So it reduces your capital gain. Well, not your capital gain. It will reduce your income because you could write it off against certain income. Now, there's
Yeah.
some nuances here, real estate professional status, for example. And we're not CPAs, so we're not going to go into too much detail here. But I will say, when you could speed up the time or how quickly something will depreciate. So it's actually going down, right? From 27 and a half to 5. But that's actually speeding up the depreciation schedule,
Yes.
right? So
Right.
you're taking more depreciation quicker. It's a pretty big tax savings, especially in the commercial world. It does work as well in the residential world. So if you're not doing that, maybe this is something you can call Jim about, get more information, because it's a quick way to save taxes. And
Yep.
it's not an expense out of your pocket.
So and it cash is against your income, right? So you can reduce your rental income and not pay taxes on it.
Right.
From 2007 to 2012, I didn't pay any federal income tax, because the depreciation on the properties wiped out all the rental income and actually went back against I had a W-2 job. And so it went back against the W-2 job, and I didn't pay any tax, which was great, because after 2007, I was laid off and I took a lesser paying job just to keep working, because there weren't a lot of jobs. So
Yeah.
so that made every dollar count, a lot, go that much further.
Yeah. And in order to take advantage of that, it's
It has
very
to be in your
important. It
books.
has to be in your books.
You've
Right.
got to document it, right? Yep. And the same, and it needs to not only be in your books, but it should be, broken down into, I break them down into a spreadsheet. It shows everything, estimated cost and all this kind of stuff. So it's all on one page. So in your books, it might be, a little bit spread out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's a great piece of advice for books. So the mistake here, if I'm hearing you correctly, is people do not cost seg. They don't do a cost seg on their rental properties, especially
Yes.
in the residential world.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bigger the property, the more you need it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a pitfall that you may or may not know of that I just literally learned within the past 2 months. So we did a cost seg on a 100-unit apartment building in Raleigh. Is it South Carolina?
North Carolina?
No, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a 100-unit apartment building. And there was a cost seg done, and it was a tremendous amount of depreciation in that first year. And then there was an offer we couldn't refuse. So there was a big gain. It was only 1 year later, so the following year. Here's the lesson that I learned. Because it's not in my home state, the state of North Carolina wants their piece. So when they saw that big gain in year 2, they're trying to tax us on the entire gain. But the depreciation, and I might lose a few of you here, so I'm going to try to make it so it's easy to understand, but it's not an easy topic. Okay. The depreciation of the property has to be recaptured, they call it. So
Yeah.
all the depreciation is doing is lowering your basis. So when
Yep.
you sell it for a gain, the gain that you pay tax on is the difference between the sell price and your basis, to keep it really simple. So
Yeah.
as your basis goes down, your gain gets bigger, right? So that's
Yep.
how you recapture it.
And it's the same at the federal level.
It's the same at the federal level.
Yeah.
Here is the mistake. We didn't file a North Carolina tax return for year one when we had all of the loss.
Mm.
Okay, but year two, now they want to get their hands on that gain, but it's not a gain of what we paid for it to what we sold it for, because the basis is so much lower than what we actually paid for the property because of the accelerated depreciation.
Uh-huh.
So they're trying to get their hands on a much larger amount of tax than we actually would have owed. Had we not done that cost seg, none of this would have been an issue, right?
Hmm.
So we paid the money for the study. We entered it into the books, as you're saying, Jim, and we should. And then we got the offer we couldn't refuse. And now we have a problem with the state of North Carolina. So that's just an interesting twist on this topic that we're talking about now.
But you didn't file in North Carolina the first year?
No, because there was no gain. There was no taxable income to file against. I didn't know I was going to get taxed year two for that gain. So now we're trying to deal with the problem, but it's creating a problem for the CPAs. I could say that.
Yeah.
Had I filed the return in the state, then it would be a carry forward loss, right? And then
Yes,
it would
right.
wash out. But
That's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah. They'll do whatever they can to get their taxes.
Yeah, so I guess the moral of the story, if there is one, be careful if you're not filing taxes in the state where you're actually getting the income. And I've had the same problem with Tennessee also. So it's not limited to North Carolina.
And I've got a client right now that's actually being audited by the Colorado Department of Unemployment. And I think based on the questions they're asking her, they're actually looking for her subcontractors and who's cheating that way. You know, who's not reporting. So they're like, okay, well, you have these subcontractors, you paid them money. Now they're going to go back and look at those subcontractors and see what they did. That's what I think is going on right now. It's kind of crazy. But,
oh, that's common. Yeah, that's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
So if a subcontractor is not paying their taxes and you're reporting a 1099 as income, they're going to come for you for the withholding, right? They're going to require you to withhold so that they can pay their taxes. So whenever I have that, I just stop working with that vendor.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not in the business of withholding and paying taxes on our subcontractors.
No.
This episode is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial is a private lender specializing in short-term rehab lending to real estate investors. Got a property that needs some love? We can help. We are able to offer funding solutions because we raise private money from individual investors. With more than 15 years of experience, Pine offers passive investors an alternative that provides stability, consistency, and security to your portfolio. If you like real estate but want to avoid the ups and downs and effort, a Pine mortgage fund could be a perfect fit for you. Accredited investors will experience an 8% preferred return and profit sharing. Diversify your portfolio out of Wall Street and into Main Street with a Pine Financial Group mortgage fund. Get more information at pinefinancialgroup.com. That's pinefinancialgroup.com.
All right, so we know that one of the benefits of bookkeeping is the cost seg and the huge tax benefits. So that would more than pay the cost of having a professional bookkeeper. I know that for sure.
For sure.
And also to know your profit and losses. And if deals you're in are actually good deals. So many flippers don't do that. You don't even know if you're making money or not.
Right.
So that's the biggest mistake I've seen made. Any other benefits to bookkeeping that we should know?
One thing I think is perspective. You know, somebody else is looking at your business from an outside point of view. So they don't have that emotional tie to that property or whatever that you do. So I think that's something too. Organization, keeping your things, your personal versus your business separate from each other. I see that happen all the time. And even still I have clients that, you know, they whip out the wrong credit card and I have to go make some adjustment for them or whatever. But I wonder too, if, you know, there's something they did and I didn't see it, you know, because they paid for it with the personal credit card. And I do have cases where they come back to me and go, hey, I bought this thing. What can we do about it? I was like, give me the numbers, who it is, what date, I'll take care of it. So there's that kind of organization, that kind of accountability, maybe backing you up, I think is good. But I also think maybe it helps you reduce some stress and sleep better because you know that kind of stuff is being taken care of for you. And when you get to tax time, you've got, in my case of my clients, they get a P&L and a balance sheet. They can take it to their accountant. It's done. As long as they've throughout the year just kept the receipts, they're in good shape. There's no stress, so they can sleep better, and which I right now I feel is an important thing.
Yeah.
Sleeping better at night, you reduce your stress.
Yeah, one thing
Who doesn't
it
need that?
sounded like you were alluding to, but you didn't quite get there, is the asset protection piece. Now, we're not attorneys either, but I know one of the number one ways to pierce a veil, which is basically penetrate an LLC or a corporation, is to commingle funds.
Yeah,
So if you're using
for
your
sure.
personal credit card for business expenses, or worse, a business credit card for personal expenses, it could cause you a bit of trouble,
Yes,
a
for
good
sure.
bit of trouble.
A lot of trouble. And even on your taxes too, again, keeping that stuff separate, it
Yeah,
makes
no,
all the
that's great.
difference in the world. So
And I know bookkeeping and accounting are two separate tasks, and
yes,
it's good to have both. So
yep,
I did mention I do my own bookkeeping for my rentals and all of that. Actually, for me, it's not too difficult, but on the company side, we do outsource that.
yeah. The kind of definitely it depends on how big you are and how good you are at numbers and whatnot. There's clients, I've had clients, move away because they got too big. You know, I can like do so much. But when you get to this, the size you are, you definitely want to outsource it and have somebody else do it for
Yeah, and
sure.
we have like audited financial statements because of our security stuff. So the
Yes.
SEC's overlooking us, and
Yeah.
we have, so we're definitely outsourcing all
Yeah.
of that. All right, so let's go through more of your story. So bookkeeping, you're obviously very, very good at that. I know some of the people that you work with, so I know that you do a good job. And now you're starting, I guess this is still fairly new for you, the coaching thing. So talk to me about how you went from bookkeeping to now bookkeeping and coaching.
Um, Yeah, so I kind of figured out a few years ago, I've been coaching all my life, really. I was always the one that my friends would go to and, ask for help, and this bookkeeping thing, I tried to help the woman that I started with, I tried to coach. And actually, when I first started out, I was kind of teaching bookkeeping. And I came to the realization that, you know, they're either not good at numbers or they're not interested in it or whatever. So I was like, gave that up. But a few years ago, I said, I'm really looking at my clients and, there are people out there that need help with money management skills, making the most of what they have to get where they want to go. They also need encouragement, support, accountability. And there's also a mindset change. I'm going to flip the tables on you and ask you a question.
Okay.
So I watched a video of yours maybe 6 months or so ago when you were out in Kilimanjaro, right, in Africa.
Yeah.
And you did in that video. You said two things that struck me, and I don't know if you remember what they were or not. Are they coming to your head?
I remember, so I remember the people I was on that mountain with,
Hmm.
and how they're like, I think the abundance mindset really stood
Yes.
out to me,
Yes.
and their just willingness to help other people. It's like not competitive at all. I didn't feel a sense of competition on that mountain.
Yeah.
Everybody was collaborative, supportive. I mean, it felt like true love. I don't know how else to describe that. Like
Yeah.
people truly loved each other
Hmm.
and wanted the best for each other. And they didn't have limited mindsets. They really believed that there's enough for everybody.
Right. Right. And the expectation of success was
The
the other.
expectation of success. Yeah.
So
So
those
that's
are.
it.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go
No, I think that's very
ahead.
interesting. I forgot about that piece too. I forgot about that piece, and I don't know how, because that one really stood out to me too. Because every conversation I had, even if I was trying to go into the tough economy like we were in at that time, they wouldn't even listen to that. Like that's not affecting me, right? They were just, I am going to be successful no matter what's going on over here.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That did stand out.
And so those two things that stood out to me in that video, and I think those are things people need. I think a lot of people approach money from a scarcity point of view,
Hmm. Hmm.
and not thinking about there's plenty out there. You just got to figure out how to make it work in your situation, and that's belief. Belief in yourself. And there's two ways to get belief in yourself is you can build it over time, or you can have somebody who believes in you, and that's part of what a coach does. Helps you with a plan, and believes that you can do it, encourages you, and helps you to make that change, to believe it in yourself. But the other question I wanted to ask you was, when did you adopt those things? Because I see where you were 20 years ago, and
Yeah.
I see where you are now, and I wonder where those two things came into your life that obviously helped change your
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good question, Jim. And I think looking back, let's start with the abundance mindset. When I worked with people like you and other people in the Conti program, Sasha, it was another one, right? Sasha and
Yeah.
I are still talk, and we were great friends. And then we'd go to the carry events, which is the Bill Bronchek. So for the listener, if you're not in Colorado, that was the big RIA, Real Estate Investor Association in Colorado. And Bronchek ran that thing. And I learned a tremendous amount from him. But going into those types of rooms and those types of meetings and watching people actually do business together instead of, oh, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to compete with you on this or whatever. I think early on, I mean, before I even bought 5 houses, probably, I felt the camaraderie in the real estate investment community. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel competitive in any way from day one. And the other one was the expectation of success. I don't know. I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly, but I could tell you what either started it or definitely cemented it for me, and that was The Secret. Like, so starting to learn
So
about the law of attraction and
yeah.
how affirmations and your thoughts will lead to your success. And I just really adopted that. And then I saw it work, like it in action, that stuff works.
Yeah.
So I think that might be it.
Yeah. Cool.
What
I'll
about
turn it
you?
back to you. I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. Wait, who's interviewing here? What about you?
It's definitely built over time. I got to the point where, like, I was doing, renting houses. I could walk in there, and just boom, boom, boom. I had a spiel, that I do, and I could get people to rent the house, no questions asked. They were, you know, dying to rent it, willing to pay the money, and all that kind of stuff. Built the belief. And on that side, it did really good. It was a struggle on the other side with, can I pay the bills? But again, I learned, we made the commitment, and we said, hey, we can do this no matter what. And what actually went through, it started with one layoff, then there was another layoff in there. But it's like, I can do this. It just took time for me to, slowly build. But a coach, on the other hand, can take and look at your situation and go, that's not so bad. As bad as you might think it is,
Yeah,
if you
that's
look at
good.
it this way, or if you look at it that way, it could be a lot worse. And if you make these behavioral changes, things can get a whole lot better a whole lot sooner. So that's why I believe a coach, one of the ways a coach could help.
I think that's interesting that the way you said that. And I'm taking notes here, and I put not so bad and I put a parentheses on it because I lost everything, as you know.
Yeah.
It was very, very stressful. Not having money, not being able to pay a bill, and getting those phone calls from creditors is very, very stressful.
Mhm.
And while you're in it, it could look like there's no way out. Like, seriously, there's no light, right? Or if you see light, it's not the end of the tunnel, it's the train
Mhm.
coming. Yeah, right. So I've been in that, so I know the exact feeling of that. And I got to tell you, even as worse as it gets, it's not so bad. There is a way out, and life can be tremendously better than what you're in that situation. So by saying it's not so bad, it's like a coach that, especially someone who's gone through 2008, like you have, like it, I could see where that would be a big benefit for someone who feels like the world's coming in around them. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And did you kind of hide from those creditors, or did you call them, meet them head on? How did you handle
Yeah,
that?
no, I hit it head on for sure. That's just my,
Okay. And
I
that's
mean,
that's the way to go at it. And I've talked with other coaches, and they said, tell people, hey, tell them you're working with a coach, and take control of the conversation instead of letting them call you. Say, I will call you next Tuesday at 2:00. You know, fight it head on, and don't shirk from it. So yeah.
Yeah. And now back then they weren't really working with anybody because they didn't realize how much trouble the economy actually was in. I mean, it took
Yeah.
a while for everyone to actually realize that.
Yeah.
You know?
I did have a property though. I only did one short sale, but it took Wells Fargo was really good at working with me to get that one, all the way through to actually ended up purchasing property. But I went head on at them. I was calling them all the time, saying, you're gonna lose this property. This lady can't pay. You're gonna be stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's
So
gonna be.
to clarify, when you did a short sale, you were negotiating the short sale on
I was
behalf of somebody
negotiating it
else.
on
Yeah.
behalf of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get, I was working on her behalf and my behalf to get her out of the situation and buy the property.
Yeah. Cool. What else about coaching? Anything else you want to share there?
Let's see. I think I've covered a lot of things. Just there's so
How has
many
a
things
coach
that,
helped you? Tell me a story about when a coach helped you.
yeah. So I have a coach that I'm kind of using with financial coaching. That's where I got these, ideas about, meeting things head on. She's presented a lot of different scenarios and say, this is how you might go about it. And also, I'm part of a network. So if there may come situations, people may come to me and I may say, I'm not really the coach for you because I'm probably not the best coach for somebody that's 20 something. I'm older, but I've been through a lot. So there may be better coaches out there, and that's what I've learned through the coaching network is kind of pick your niche and if somebody comes to you and they're not your thing, don't spend your time on it. Get them to somebody else that kind of focuses on that group. So I think that's one thing I've which is
So if we were going to hire you, walk me through how the program works.
so first off, I start with a 15-minute consultation. We want to need to figure out what your pain points are and kind of focus in on that. Then I'm going to give you homework. Go back and let's figure out what your situation is, what your income, what your debt. How do those things all apply to what your pain point is? And then we're going to sit down and walk through all that and figure out what changes can we make to eliminate that pain point, and then support to get you through that, a plan to get you through that, basically support and encouragement to get you through. I mean, it might take 1 month, it might take a year, but I'll stick with you and we'll refine the plan as we go along and get you to your goal. That's the program,
So a
basically.
15-minute consult, and then you
And that's a
structure like
free.
a custom plan after that with pricing and everything. So to get
Yeah,
an idea on pricing, we have to go through the consult.
right. And I don't think people should focus so much on the price as the value. What are you getting out of that? Is how big a pain point is this? And what does eliminating that pain point from your life do for you? So that's the other thing. And another thing I'm going to look at too is I'm trying to find a way within your budget to pay for myself. It's just like I do with the bookkeeping. I know that I'm going to save you a ton of money, way more than you're going to pay for me. And I'm trying to do the same thing with coaching. You're either going to make more money or you're going to spend less money. We're going to find that balance in there, and
Okay.
solve your pain point.
So the way I look at this is if Michael Jordan had a coach, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So I do coaching as well. I
Mhm.
meet with my coach for an hour once a month, and then twice a year we have a retreat where he actually works with my whole leader team. So it's one-on-one for me once a month, and then we meet with my team. And that's in addition to little mastermind groups that I'm in, because I think those are hugely beneficial as well. But
Oh
the
yeah.
thing about coaching, and you didn't mention this, Jim, that I get a lot of value out of is the accountability. Like someone
Yes.
that I have to actually go say I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
That drives
Great
me.
point.
Like I don't want to let my coach down.
Great point. Yep.
All right. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to get your contact information, but before I do, real quick, I'm going to go over my notes. You tell me how I did on the conversations here. So first one that I got, these are just takeaways for me personally from our conversation. So the first one that you learned, your big lesson from 2008 was the follow through. So keep your commitments, as I think is how you worded it.
Yes.
And then we went into, I said grit, and you agreed. And then we talked about bookkeeping quite a bit, and the cost seg is the biggest mistake that people make, that new clients of yours make. You don't see them doing that cost seg, and the tremendous amount of tax savings if you do break out personal property, for example, and depreciate that at a quicker pace. Stay safe. I wrote down stay safe. So when you're bookkeeping, if you're keeping track of your expenses, you can keep yourself safe is what that was referring to. And then just your comfort. So you said sleep at night. So yeah, knowing where your money is and is not, and if you're going to be bouncing checks is definitely helpful when you're putting your head on your pillow. And then we got a little bit about coaching. So you said two beliefs, like you mentioned beliefs multiple times and in two contexts here. One is belief money is scarce. So if we have an abundance mindset, would be the opposite of how you worded it, but you said don't believe money is scarce. Okay, on the other side, what you should believe in yourself, and that's where a coach can help you. So use coaching. One thing you could use coaching for is confidence. And then I love this. A coach will say it's not so bad. So if you think you're in hell, maybe it's not so bad. And,
Right.
and a good coach that's been through that can help you with that.
Yep.
How'd I do?
Good. Be prepared for the unexpected.
Be prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you did say that, and that is important.
Yeah. So commit to yourself, keep your commitments to others, believe in yourself.
Just be prepared. And we did talk about that,
prepared.
and where the lines of credits can be an effective like reserve or not. And I think we're a little bit in flux on that. You mentioned the interest rates may go up or down. I was more worried about them getting shut off.
That's possible too. Yeah.
So what a lot of people don't understand, Jim, is when you signed that document to open up a line of credit, it says in that document that the creditor could turn that off if they choose.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So if they feel at risk because the market's collapsing, they could shut off access to that line. So now you don't have a reserve that you were counting on. That's why I think having some money in the bank is vital. It's vital for your longevity in this business.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we get a hold of you? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Jim at moneycoachjim.com. Try to keep it simple.
Jim at moneycoachjim.com. And you have a Facebook page here as well.
Yep. And also a webpage.
Oh, I didn't see this one. What is that?
Oh, the webpage is moneycoachjim.com. And on there, there's a page where you can schedule your free 15-minute consultation.
All right. So go to moneycoachjim.com, schedule your free consultation. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So anything
you should
else?
Put your video in the show notes too. People should go back and I'm serious. That's a great video. It's it's so just kind of, out in the open there, you're walking around but the message is right on. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jim. I appreciate that. Have you subscribed to the YouTube channel?
Of course.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I was rewatching some, like I watched Randy Brothers the other day and Brian Davis. And I really like Brian Davis talking about mitigating risks. That was a good video.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I got to tell you, doing these podcasts, because I'm getting to meet so many, such great people. Now, Randy, I knew from EO, of course, but, a lot of the guests, they're either reaching out to me or we're finding them like, hey, I really want to interview this. And then I get a chance like this, 30, 40 minutes with somebody. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I'm open to doing more. I have never done one of these, so I was a little bit worried, but
you're natural.
So
no, you did great.
It's been a great time. Great time.
All right, moneycoachjim.com. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a long time since we really got to connect.
Yeah.
Again, we've known each other for over 20 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You saw me when I was just a pup. And
that's true. Very true.
It's pretty amazing.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for
the college degree and all that stuff.
Thank you so much, Jim, for your 46 minutes of your time here today.
Yeah.
I really, really do appreciate that. I hope people will understand how important bookkeeping and especially coaching is, and will go to your website. I am hopeful for that. And for the listener, please do that. And please leave us a 5-star review. Help us out. It helps the podcast so we can help more real estate investors just like you. And with that, please make this day a great one. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please be sure to follow and leave us a review. Oh yeah, and tell a friend.